In this part of the web programming tutorial, I will give an overview of JavaScript. So basically, you use JavaScript to program the behavior of web pages. Here you see the web programming triangle. So in order to create web pages or web application, typically all web pages contains these three things. You have HTML, and you use HTML to define the contents of the web pages. So HTML is short for hypertext markup language. Then you need to use CSS, and you use CSS to specify the layout of the web pages. CSS is short for cascading style sheets. And then finally, you typically need or want to use JavaScript to program the behavior of the web pages. So let's dig into this part of this web programming triangle. So basically you could say JavaScript is the programming language of the web, and all modern web pages, HTML web pages, are using JavaScript. JavaScript is the default scripting language in all modern web browsers, and also in the newest version HTML5. And also JavaScript is free to use, and also JavaScript is probably the most used programming language in the world. Basically, it's the language for HTML and web pages. So you use it to create web pages, and you can use it on computers, servers, laptops, tablets, smartphones, etc. And basically, JavaScript is more or less a general purpose programming language where you can use variables, you can use for loop, while loops, you can use if-else, you can create arrays, events, etc. All these things that are part of all general purpose programming languages. But the good thing about JavaScript, it's tailor-made for web programming, and the great feature with JavaScript that it actually can change the HTML elements on your web page. And basically you don't need to download or install JavaScript, because JavaScript is already running on your web browser and on your computer, or if you have a tablet, smartphone, etc. JavaScript is already installed and ready to be used. So basically JavaScript has all the features that all other programming languages have, like variables, for loops, while loops, if-else, functions, events, arrays, etc. But in addition, it has these HTML specific features, like you can read or change the HTML elements in your web pages. So basically you can use JavaScript to program the behavior of your web pages. You can use JavaScript to make your web pages more dynamic. You can specify what happens when a user clicks on a button, etc. You can update the contents of the HTML web page, and you can create and use functions. You can create variables, if-else, etc., just like all the programming languages. In order to use JavaScript in your HTML files or in your web pages, you need to include the JavaScript inside this script block. So here you see a basic example how you can include JavaScript in your HTML web page. So this is basically a ordinary HTML web page, but here we have the script start and script end, and the code between here is JavaScript code. And here you see an example how you can define variables in JavaScript. Then you just use the let command. So let number equals to 12 creates a variable called number, and then we specify that this variable should have the value 12. You can do the same for text strings like this. Let title equals to hello world. So basically you use the let word in order to define variables in JavaScript. You can also use the const name here if you don't want to change the variables like this, because here I just use const name equals to Hans Petter, because typically I don't change my name. But So either use const if you don't need to change the variable, or use let if you need to change the variable during the execution of your JavaScript code. Here you see a simple JavaScript example. So here is the code in between the script tag and the script end tag. Here I just define two variables, number 1 and number 2, and then another variable called sum, where I just add number 1 and number 2, and then you can use this built-in alert function in order to display a message box that pops up in your web browser. So in this case, when I just open this HTML page in my default web browser, it just pops up with this message box presenting the answer like this. So let's see how we can create this example from scratch. So I have already created a default HTML page, so let's just open it. I can right click on it and open with Visual Studio Code. And then you see the code for this HTML web page. Basically, it's a pure HTML web page where you have the HTML tag, start and stop, and you have a header, and you have a body, like this. So now, let's see how we can include some JavaScript in this example. So basically, you can put this JavaScript wherever you like in your program, either in the header or in the body, or just here in between. So then you just start type script like this, and then in between here you can start creating the JavaScript code. So then let's just create some variables. Let number 1 equals to 3, and then you need to end with a semicolon like this, and a new variable, let number 2 equals to 7 or something, and then let's see if you can get the result. So then just let sum equals to number 1 plus number 2 like this. And then if I run this now, nothing will happen. Typically you need to use this alert or something to present the value on the screen. So then I can just type alert sum and now can save it, and then I can just right click on my file, click open, or just double click to open it in the default web browser. If I want to open it in a specific browser, I can just select open with and select, for instance, Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge. And you see when this web page pops up, it just display this message box with the answer 10 like this. If I change the value here from 5 to 8 or something, click save, and then click refresh here, and then you see it presenting the new answer like this. So basically this is how you use JavaScript inside your HTML code. You just put the JavaScript inside this script block like this. So let's start creating a bit more advanced JavaScript example. Here we show more of the features that is part of JavaScript. So here I have this example that we will create step by step. Here I created 3 text boxes, and then the user enter the number here, 3 plus 4, and click this button. The answer will be presented here. So in this case, we will use more of the features in JavaScript. We will use variables, of course. We will also create a separate JavaScript function, and we will also use events, because when we click this button, we will execute the function that is calculating the sum of these two numbers. We will also use some more features that is part of JavaScript, namely JavaScript can be used to change the contents of the HTML web page. So then there are some built-in functions that you can use called document.getElementById, and then you have different versions. You have .innerHTML, .innerText, and .value. So we will try some of these in our calculator example as well. So we use our previous example as a starting point. I can just close it and just make a copy. I can call it calculator or something, calculator.html. So then I can open in my Visual Studio Code like this. So I will remove that part because now we will create this calculator. I can change it here to the title. I can use, instead of hello world, calculator. Also here in this header like this. And now we should create some text boxes. We can also present some text there. Enter values in the text boxes and calculate the answer or something. Then we start creating these text boxes. Then we just use the input and then type. Here we have different options. We can use type text, or since you are dealing with numbers, we can also use number. And then we need to specify an ID. It could be just number 1, like this. That is one text box, and then we just make another one with number 2. Then we also need a third text box where we are presenting the answer, like this. If I just save it now, let's see how it looks like. So now I can open this one in my web browser. I just choose Microsoft Chrome or Google Chrome. So now we have created a calculator, enter values in the text boxes and calculate the answer like this. And then we can specify values here, and then the values should be calculated here. But we also need to include a button. Then here, between here, I can create a button. So then I just use button. Answer or something. Like this. Click save. Let's see how it looks like. Like this. And then also in between here we can have a plus sign. So the user's not here, but here. So the user know that he shall enter a number here, and those two will be and the answer will be presented here. So also instead of answer, you can also just use an equal sign like this, and then we'll get something like this. Then you have number 1 here and number 2, and when you click here, the number or the answer should be presented here. So then we need to define an event, an on-click event when we click on this button, because now when we click on it, nothing happened. So then we can specify here for the button, use on click, which we find here in the list. And here we need to specify a JavaScript function. We can specify and then create a function called add or something. And then here in the script section, we can start creating that JavaScript function, and then we just need to use the function word in order to create a JavaScript function, and then specify the name of the function, and then use these parentheses. And now we can start creating the body of this function, and then we can start by creating a variable of this first number 1, and then we need to retrieve the value that the user is entering in this text box, and then we can use this document get element by ID, and then in here we need to specify the ID for the text boxes, which for this one is number 1. like this. And in order to get the actual value, we just type a dot and value like this. And of course a semicolon. So now we have retrieved the value that the user is entering in this text box here, and then put it into this variable called number1. And then we can do the same for number2, like this. Just change this one to 2, 2 here. And then we can create a new variable where we are finding the sum of these two numbers. So sum equals to number1 plus number2, like this. And in order to test if it works also, we can use this alert and just put the sum inside here, like this. Let's see what's happening now. We just refresh this page. Here we can enter a number 3, here we enter 4, and then we click here. Nothing happens, so let's see if we have some problems here. Yeah, and of course you need to have this semicolon after each line. Now I just refresh, click and select a number here, 4, and click here. Of course I was missing an important thing here, because when we define a function, of course you need to have parentheses like this, and you could also have arguments, but in this case we have no arguments, so it's just a function called add, and then, but still we need to have these parentheses like this. So now we click refresh, enter a number here, 3 plus 4, click here, and then you see it pops up with this message box, but there is a problem. 3 plus 4 should be 7, but it in this case he just had added these two numbers, so then the answer here is 34 instead of 7. So I guess we need to convert the values that we enter here into an integer or a float. So let's see how we can do that. And basically we can use some of the built-in functions in JavaScript. So then you can specify here number1 equals to, and there is several built-in functions that you can use, parse into an int or float. So let's use this float function like this. So now basically we are creating our own function, but we are also using functions that is part of the JavaScript. Let's do the same for number2 as well. So now we convert these numbers that are entered in these text boxes to a floating number. So now hopefully when we add number1 and number2 here, it will give us the correct answer. So let's just click refresh, I select 3 here, and I enter 4 here, and click here. And then you see, now we get the correct answer. 3 plus 4 is 7, like this. So now let's see if you are able to also present the value here in this third text box. Then we don't need this alert anymore. So then you can comment it out or just delete it. If you do like this, it means that this line is commented out. If you need to have multiple comment out multiple lines, you can use this syntax. In order to, so use this syntax in order to comment multiple lines, and you use double slashes in order to comment one line, like this. Now let's see how we can present the answer here in this text box. So basically then we just use this document dot get element by ID. And here, and then I need to specify the name for this or the ID for this third text box, which is answer, like this. And then I just use a dot, and also here value equals to the sum that we found here, like this. Of course a semicolon. So let's see what's happening now when I save this, refresh this one, enter 3 here, 4 here, and click on this button, and then you see the answer here is now put into this third text box like this. So basically this is a basic JavaScript example where we have used many of the features within JavaScript. We have created variables, we have created a user-defined function, we are also using a built-in function called parse float in order to convert these the values that is entered in these text boxes to actually a number. And we are using this document.getElementById.value in order to actually retrieve the values that the user entered in these text boxes. And here we do the opposite. We are writing a value to an existing text box like this. And we are also using events. Here we have this on-click event that we can use, and then we just specify what happens when the user click on the button. And in this case, it should be execute this add function that we have created here in this JavaScript part of the code here. And also assume that we want to present the answer here as part of the HTML text. So then we can just create a paragraph or something here. P. The answer is also presented here or something. Oh, if I click refresh here, so then the answer is also now presented here, but so far nothing happens. When I click here, it's presented here, but not here. So then we can also use an ID here. ID equals to message or whatever you can call it. And then here in our JavaScript function, we can also use document.getElementById, and here we use this message, which is this paragraph we have here, and then dot, and now we are using inner. You can either use this inner HTML or inner text, so I'll use this one. Here I can say something. The answer is, and then we just use this plus sign, and then we put the variable here, this sum, like this, plus in order to have a punctuation or something. So now here in the bottom here, we will, when we click on this button, the answer should also be presented here in the bottom. So just save this code, refresh, I click a number here, 4 plus 6, and then you see the answer is presented here in this text box, and also here the answer is 10, like this. Now we have used a combination of different things here. Here we have used this document.getElementById.value, and here we have used document.getElementById.inner text, like this. So basically we can use JavaScript as an ordinary programming language as part of our web pages, but we can also change the contents of different parts of the JavaScript, of the HTML page, like this paragraph, information that are stored in text boxes, etc. So if you want to learn more about JavaScript, I recommend some of these tutorials. V3 School has a great JavaScript tutorial. They have also lots of JavaScript videos that are explaining the basics. I also recommend this one, the Modern JavaScript tutorial, where you find lots of information about JavaScript, examples, etc. So then, good luck using JavaScript.